would say things like she wasn't going anywhere, or that he would make sure she was unable to leave. The woman was crying and confused. The conjure man offered his counsel, and the two spoke for a good while. The young woman knew that he was a root worker, someone who could work the elements of magic to create a change in her present situation, and so she asked for his help in removing the abusive boyfriend from her life. The condition of conjure. In the realm of spiritual or magic work, hoodoo or conjure has a tremendous influence in creating change that may not be so likely to occur otherwise. This is due in part to the nature of conjure. Conjure was birthed out of a need to stop oppression and as a way to gain a leg up on the slave masters so that folks could be free from the constant and disgusting treatment they had received at the hand of those who took them away from everything they knew and loved. The power of the roots, coupled with the spirits of the ancestors, forms a bond that facilitates magical change. When I say roots, I am referring to every part of the plant. That includes the root, the leaf, the stem, the flowers, and even the seeds. The term root is used as an umbrella term for all of these things in the parlance of conjure. The work just described shows a day in the life of a conjure man. The story is filled with actions that folks may or may not be familiar with. Now I would like to explain the steps in the story to help you understand how this powerful practice and work can be achieved. We began with the conjure man coming to the graveyard at the point of dusk. Why dusk? There is an old saying that the day is for the living and the night is for the dead. The reason for this is because there are points of transition that are inclusive of both seen and unseen, the spirits themselves. It is like a veil worn by a bride. Her face is at least somewhat masked until it is time for her to be revealed. Spirits are not that far removed from this principle. As living beings, our bodies have internal clocks. The majority of the time, the clock is in sync with the day and the night. During the day, we are awake, alert, and doing whatever tasks need to be done. When night comes, we get tired and our physical bodies begin to call for rest. We have transitioned from the work time to the time of being in a cocoon. That cocoon is sleep, rest, and recharging for the next day. For most living folks, our proverbial veils are put on at night and taken off during the day. Of course, we know that there are some individuals who are nocturnal and function better at night than they do in the day. As humans, we are incredibly diverse. However, this is how the general principle of the living and the dead works, as I was given it. Spirits, the dead, on the other hand, have the opposite process of this veil. They, for the most part, are veiled in the day and unveiled at night. A significant reason for this is because they're not housed within a body and their time of awakening is the opposite of our own. It is important to note that the physical and spirit worlds are two reflective mirrors that parallel one another, but in an opposite manner. As we sleep, they tend to rise. As we work, they tend to rest. Once the conjure man arrived at the gates of the graveyard, he gave offerings at its entrance. It is like knocking on the door of someone's house. Offerings are quite important because they're conduits of balance. If something is given, then something is taken. If something is taken, then something is given. You see, he was going into the graveyard to do spiritual work with the dead, and you have to pay for the work you are doing. The offerings have been given a couple of purposes. The first is to pay for work that is being done, and the second is to elevate as well as motivate the spirits you're working with. By elevate I mean to lift up, to speak prayers, give words of thanksgiving, make offerings, and the like. Upon entering the graveyard, the conjure man began to give thanks to those that came before him. He acknowledged the sacrifices that were made so that he could be standing exactly where he was at the time he was. He gave thanks to the earth, which possesses an astronomical amount of magical power to transform and create change that reflects into both the world of the spirit and the world of the physical. Giving thanks is a form of elevation and of calling out to the spirits so that we can gain their attention and receive their help. Once he began to dig the hole, he was creating a womb, so to speak, in which the work could be birthed. Soil, or dirt, possesses power, energy.